Session 30. I was talking about Bagal Baba and the three flutists he introduced to me. I remember how differently people reacted, and how we both laughed later on. Pannalal Ghosh was introduced to me at his own house in Calcutta. Bagal Baba was his guest. I was Bagal Baba's guest. Pannalal Ghosh was really famous, and when Baba said to him, "Touch the feet of this boy first, then I can allow you to touch my feet," he hesitated for a moment. You can't touch a thing without really touching it. You do it all the time. And do you know there is a Christian sect called the Shakers? They shake their whole body. They are shaking hands with God. When you shake hands with God, the whole body has to be shaken. I said to Baba, he has not touched them. Baba said, I know, Pannalal, do it again. It was too much for the famous man, and with so many people present. All the eminent people of Calcutta were there. The Prime Minister's sons were there. The Chief Minister was there. He again touched my feet. This time he was even more dead than before. I laughed. Baba roared. I said, he needs training. Baba said, that is true. He will be born many times to get that training. In this life he has missed the train. I was giving him a last opportunity, but he has missed that too. And you will be surprised. After only 7 days, Pannalal Ghosh was no longer in this world. Perhaps Baba was right. The last opportunity has been given, and Pannalal Ghosh had missed it. He was not a bad man. I don't say he was a good man. I only say he was not bad. He was just ordinary. To be good or to be bad needs some extraordinariness. He had poured all his talent, intelligence, and his soul into his flute, and he was left barren, desert-like. His flute was beautiful, but it was better not to have known the man. Now when I hear his flute on the record, I try to dispose of him. I tell him, Pannalal Ghosh, don't come in. Let me listen to the flute. But Baba wanted him to be introduced to me, and not me to him. It was not for me, because I had no name. I had not done anything. Even now I can say the same thing. I have not done anything, right or wrong. I am a non-doer, and I have remained persistently so. But Pannalal Ghosh was a great musician. To tell him to touch my feet in front of so many people was very humbling. It was good exercise for him, but twice was too much. But he was a real Bengali Babu. This term, Bengali Babu, was invented by the British because their first capital in India was in Calcutta, not New Delhi, and their first servant was Bengalis. All Bengalis are fish eaters. They stink of fish. Pannalal Ghosh died just 7 days after I seen him, and Baba had said to him, this is your last opportunity. I don't think he understood it. He looked a little stupid. Whether I say it or not, he still looks stupid. Pannalal Ghosh said, I have touched them twice. How does one really touch? And can you believe what Baba did? He touched my feet to show him how to do it. With tears in his eyes, and Baba was 90 years old. Baba never allowed me to sit with other people. I had to sit on his pillow, above and behind him. You know that in India, a particular round pillow is used only by very rich people. Baba used to carry very few things, but his pillow was always with him. He told me, "Do you know, I don't need it. But to sleep on somebody else's pillow is so dirty. I should at least have my own private pillow, even though I have nothing else." This man, Pannalal Ghosh, I neither liked nor disliked him. I was indifferent to him. He had no salt. He was just tasteless. But his flute, he brought the Indian bamboo flute to the world's notice and raised it to be one of the greatest instruments. Because of him, the more beautiful flute the Japanese has completely faded out. You will be really surprised that the word Babu has become a name of great respect in India. When you want to respect anybody, you call him Babu, but it simply means one who stinks. Ba means weed and Bu means stick. The word was created by the Britishers for the Bengalis. But Nalal Ghosh was really Babu, I mean stinking of fish. He asked, "Baba, why is this boy of yours, whose feet I have to touch again and again, holding his breath?" Baba said, "He is trying to do some yoga exercise. It has nothing to do with you or your fishy smell." He was such a beautiful man, this Bagal Baba. The second musician whose name I have been avoiding to even mention, although I did mention it once, and I have to mention it again just to finish this chapter, was Sachideva. His flute playing is totally different from Ghosh, although they use the same type of flute. You could give them the same flute and you would be amazed by the difference. Sachdeva had a magical touch, whereas Pannalal Ghosh was technically perfect, but not a magician. Sachdeva was also technically perfect and had the art of music and magic together. I told Baba, I cannot allow him to touch my feet again. The first time I was not aware of the ugliness of his vibe. Now I know it. And his vibe was not only ugly, it was nauseous. And so was his face. One felt sick. I was avoiding talking about it simply not to remember it, because I will have to see it again to describe it to you. I used to think that a passport photo was the most ugly thing possible. But when he started playing on his bamboo flute, all his ugliness simply disappeared. It took you some other word. But the man was simply ugly. I don't bother about physical ugliness. What do I have to do with his physique? But psychologically, he was ugly, too. When he touched my feet for the first time very reluctantly, it felt as if a reptile has crawled over them. I looked at Baba and said, "What am I supposed to do about the snake?" Baba said, "I knew that you would recognize it. Be patient. First listen to his flute. Then we will think about his being a snake." He went on, "I was afraid you would become aware of it. I knew he would not be able to deceive you. But we will talk about that later on. First, listen to his flute. So I listened, and he was certainly a magician, reaching into you so deeply, just like a cuckoo calling from the distant hill. In India, the cuckoo is not what you make of it. To be cuckoo in the West is to be in the madhouse. In the East, the name cuckoo is given only to the highest singers. Sachdeva was called the cuckoo of the flute world. Pannalal Koshi moves in a perfectly flat way, very sure of his ground, each step taken with care, prepared by long practice. You cannot find a single flaw. You cannot find a single flaw in Sachdeva either, but he does not move on the flat ground. He is a bird of the hill, flying high and low. I said, I love his flute, but his flute is totally different thing from his whole being. I don't want to be touched by him, and I knew you would say what you just said. Please tell him to touch his feet. That would be far easier. Now I can explain to you something without which what I say will not be understood. When you touch the feet of somebody, you are pouring yourself, energy-wise, at his feet. It is an offering of whatsoever you are. Baba said, I understand. But he too has to be changed. I did not tell him again to touch my feet. The few times we met again, Sachdeva neither looked at me nor I at him. I was afraid of Baba. Sachdeva was afraid of me. The third man, Hari Prasad, is both. His being is as beautiful as his music. He is not as famous as Pannalal Ghosh, and perhaps he never will be because he does not care. He will not play his flute to others. He will not go after the politician. His flute has its own flavor. The flavor of his flute can only be called balance. Pannalal Ghosh takes half an hour over the preface, the foreword. In India, that is the way of classical music. The tabla player will arrange his tabla. He will knock with his small hammer here and there, tuning it, finding the right key. The sitarist will tighten or loosen his strings and try again and again to see whether all the strings have come into a synchronicity or not. This goes on for almost half an hour, but Indians are patient people. This is called the preparation. Why can't they do it before the people arrive, or behind the screen, as they do in every drama? Third man is Hari Prasad. He is a very good person. Baba was really happy because Hari Prasad touched my feet with no problem. Hari Prasad is my choice as far as these flutists are concerned. His flute has the beauty of both the others, and yet is neither like that of Pannalal Ghosh, nor so sharp that is cut and hurts you. It is soft like a breeze. Hari Prasad must be considered the greatest flutist, but he is not very famous. He is very humble. To be famous, you have to be aggressive. To be famous, you have to fight in the ambitious world. Session 31. Pagal Baba in his last days was always a little bit worried. I could see it, although he had not said anything, nor had anybody else mentioned it. Perhaps nobody else was even aware that he was worried. One night when I was alone with him, I asked him. In fact, I had to wake him up in the middle of the night because it was so difficult to find a moment when there was nobody else with him. He said to me, "It must be something of great importance, otherwise you would not have awakened me." "What is it?" I said. "That's the question. I have been watching you. I feel a little shadow of worry around you. It has never been there before. Your aura has always been so clear, just like a sun, but now I see a little shadow. It cannot be death." He laughed. "Yes, the shadow is there, and it is not death. That too is true. My concern is I am waiting for a man so that I can hand over my responsibility for you to him. I am worried because he has not come yet. If I die, it will be impossible for you to be able to find him." I said, "If I really need somebody, I will find him. But I don't need anybody. You relax before death comes. I don't want to be the cause of your shadow. You should die as brilliantly radiant as you have lived," he said. "It is not possible, but I know the man will come. I am worrying unnecessarily. He is a man of his word. He has promised to reach me before I die." I said, "How does he know when you are going to die?" He said, "That is why I want you to be introduced to him. You are young and I would like someone like me just to be around you. In fact, this is an old convention that if a child is ever going to become awakened, then at least 3 awakened people should recognize him at an early age." I said, "Baba, this is all nonsense. Nobody can prevent me from awakening." He said, "I know, but I am an old, conventional man. So particularly at the time of my death, don't say anything against convention." I said, "Okay, for your sake I will keep silent. I will not say anything because whatsoever I say is somehow going to be against convention." He said, "I am not saying that you should be silent, but just feel what I am feeling. I am an old man. I have nobody in the world for whom I care, except you. I don't know why or how you became so close to me. I want somebody in my place so you don't miss me." I said, "Baba, nobody can replace you, but I promise you that I will try hard not to miss you." But the man arrived the next morning. The first awakened man who recognized me was Maga Baba, second was Bagal Baba, and the third was more strange than even I could have imagined. Even Bagal Baba was not so mad. The man was called Master Baba. Baba is a respectful word. It simply means the grandfather. But anybody who is recognized by the people as someone enlightened is called Baba. Master Baba was superb, just superb, and just the way I like a man to be. He was as if made for me. He became friends even before Bagal Baba introduced us. I was standing outside the house. I don't know why I was standing there. At least now I can't remember the purpose. It was so long ago. Perhaps I was also waiting, because Bagal Baba had said the man would keep his word. He would come. Once I asked Bagal Baba, perhaps you can explain it to me. I could understand if 50% of things I did were wrong and 50% were right. But with me, it is always 100% wrong. How do I manage it? Can you explain it to me? Bagal Baba laughed and said, You manage perfectly. That is the way to do things. And don't be bothered what others say. You go on in your own way. Listen to all the complaints, and if you are punished, enjoy. I really did enjoy it. Even the punishment. My father stopped punishing me the moment he found out that I enjoyed it. For example, he once told me, run around the block 7 times. Run fast and then come back. I asked, can I run 70 times? It is so beautiful in the morning. I could see his face. He thought he was punishing me. I really did run 70 times around the block. By and by he understood that it was difficult to punish me. I always sympathized with my father because he suffered unnecessarily. I used to have long hair and I loved it. Not only that, I used to wear Punjabi clothes, which were not worn in that area. I had fallen in love with Punjabi clothes after seeing them on a group of singers who had visited the town. I think that they are the most beautiful clothes in India. With my long hair and wearing the salwar and the kurta, people thought I was a girl, and I was always passing through my father's shop, coming and going into the house the whole day. People would ask my father, whose girl is that? My father was offended. He came to me and said, listen, you stop wearing this salwar and kurta. These clothes look like those of a woman. And moreover, cut your hair, otherwise I will cut it for you. I said, the moment you cut my hair, you will repent. He said, what do you mean? I said, I have said it. Now you can think it over and find out what I mean. You will repent. He became so angry. He brought his scissors from the shop. It was a clothes shop, and so there were scissors to cut the clothes. Then he cut my hair, saying, now you can go to the hair cutter so that he can do it better. Otherwise you will look like a cartoon. I said, I will go, but you will repent. He said, again, what do you mean? I said, it is your doing. You think it over. Why should I explain it to you? I don't owe any explanation to anybody. You cut my hair and you will repent. I went to the hair cutter who was an opium eater. I chose him particularly because he was the only man who would do whatever I told him. I said, Natu, are you at least able to cut off all my hair? He said, yes, yes, yes. I said, great. That's the way of the Buddha thrice. So please cut it. and he shaved my head completely. When I came home, my father looked at me and could not believe it. I looked like a Buddhist monk. That is the difference between the Buddhist and the Hindu monks. The Hindu monk shaves his head, leaving some hair on the top of the head, at the very point where the Sahasrara, the seventh chakra is. It is to protect and to give it a little shade from the hot sun. The Buddhist monk is more daring. He cuts off everything. My father said, "What have you done? Do you know what this means? I will now be in more trouble than before. Everybody will ask, why is this child completely shaved?" As his father died, I said, "That is up to you now. I told you that you would repent." And he repented for months. People kept asking him, "What is the matter?" because I did not allow my hair to grow. Natu was always there, and he was such a lovely man. Whenever I would go and his chair was empty, I would sit down and say, "Natu, please do it again." So whatever few hairs has grown, he would shave them off. He said to me, "I love shaving heads. The fools come to me and say, 'Cut it this way, in this style.' All nonsense. This is the best style. I don't have to worry, nor do you. It is simply plain and very saintly." I said, "You have said the word. This is very saintly. But do you realize that if my father comes to know you are the person who is doing all this, you will be in trouble?" He said, "Don't you be worried. Everybody knows that I am an opium addict. I can do anything. If I have not cut off your head, that's enough." And he left. I said, "That's good. Next time, if I feel like cutting off my head, I will come to you. I know I can rely on you." He said, "Yes, my boy, yes, my boy, yes, my boy." Perhaps because of the opium, he had to repeat everything thrice. My father had learned a lesson. He said to me, "I have repented enough. I will not do such a thing again." And he never did. He kept his word. Session 32. I have always wondered that something went right with me from the very beginning. There is no such phrase in any language. There is a phrase like something going wrong, but not something going right. But what can I do? It really has gone right from my very first breath. I've been loved by so many people for no reason at all. People are respected for their talents. I have been loved for just being myself. From the very beginning and every moment I have lived, it went on going more and more right, righter and righter. One can only wonder. Perhaps I can give a new meaning to the words God. When something goes right for no reason at all, you have not done it, you don't even deserve it, and it goes on and on when everything goes right in spite of you. Of course, I am not a right person, yet things went on being right with me. The day I left the university service, the first thing I did was to burn all my certificates and diplomas, and the whole nonsense that I had carried all along, nearly piled. I enjoyed the burning of it so much that my whole family gathered around, thinking that finally I had gone completely mad. They said, "It has happened." I said, "Yes, at last." Master, he was a king, not a playing card king, not even a king of England, but a real king. You could see nothing else was needed to prove it. It is strange that he was the first person to call me the blessed one, Bhagwan. When he said it, I said to him, "Master, have you also gone as mad as Bagal Baba?" He said, "From this moment, I will not call you other than what I have just called you." He said, "Let me be the first, because thousands will call you the blessed one." He would have enjoyed all the fruits of paradise without any joy, of course. He would have lived with Eve without love. In paradise, nobody loves that much. I can say it without any fear of being expelled because I don't want to enter paradise. So who cares? Paradise is the last place I would like to enter. Even hell is preferable. Why? Just because of good company. Paradise is just horrible. The company of the saints. These gods must be imbeciles. I don't want to be part of it. But Master looked like a god who had come to earth. I loved him without any reason, of course, because love cannot have any reason. I still love him. I don't know whether he is alive or not, because on 20th of March 1953 he disappeared. He just told me he was going to the Himalayas. He said, "My responsibility is fulfilled as far as I had promised Bhagar Baba. Now you are what you potentially were. Now I am not longer needed." I said, "No, Master, I will need you still for other reasons." He said, "No, you will find ways for everything that you require. But I cannot wait. Since that once in a while I used to hear, perhaps from someone coming from the Himalayas, a sannyasin, a bhikkhu, that Master was in Kalimpong, or that he was in Nainital, or here or there, but he never came back from the Himalayas. I asked everybody who was going to the Himalayas, "If you come across this man," but it was difficult, because he was very reluctant to be photographed. Once I had convinced him to be photographed, but the photographer in my village was a genius. His name was Manu Mian, a poor man, but he had a camera. He must have been the oldest model in the world. His camera should have been preserved. It would be worth millions of dollars now. Out of the whole film, perhaps one photography would turn out. That too was not certain. And when you looked at the photo, you could not believe how he had managed it, because it did not look like you. He was avant-garde, really. He did with photography what only Picasso would have liked. Somehow I convinced Master to go to Manu Mian. Manu Mian was very happy. Master reluctantly sat there in the villager's studio. I cannot really call it a studio. I had prepared Manu Mian by saying, "Be very exact, correct. It is with great difficulty that I managed to bring this man. And if you have his picture, it will be great publicity for your studio." He was convinced and said, "I will try. Just teach me two words in English. I have heard that in the bigger cities, before they click the shutter, they say, 'Please be ready.'" Of course, he said it to me in Hindi, but he wanted to say it in English to impress this very respected man. Then he wanted to know how to say thank you for when it was finished. So he arranged everything. Then he said, "Please be ready," of course in English. Even Master could not believe that Manomian knew any English. Then he clicked his camera, a loud click of course. I can still see his camera. I can certainly say it would get $1 million just because of its antiquity. It was huge. He then said, "Thank you, sir," and we departed. He came running behind us and said with tears in his eyes, "Forgive me. Please come back. I forgot to put the plate in the camera." "That was too much," Master said. "You idiot, just run away from here. Otherwise I will lose my temper. And I am very temperamental." I knew that he was not at all temperamental, and I said to Manumian, "Don't be worried, I will arrange it again." But he escaped, actually ran. I said, "Listen, don't run away." I persuaded Master to return, but when we reached the studio, it was locked. Manumian was afraid that on seeing us coming, he locked the studio. So we don't have any picture of Master. There are just 3 pictures I always wanted to have. One was of Master, another was a man I will talk about later, and a woman who I will also talk about later. But I don't have a picture of any of these people. It's a strange thing, they were all reluctant to have their picture taken. Perhaps because a picture invariably distorts the beauty. Because beauty is a living phenomenon and a picture is static. When we take a picture of a flower, do you think it is the same flower that is still there? No, meanwhile it has grown. It is no longer the same. Yet the picture will always remain the same. The picture never grows. It is dead from the very beginning. Stillborn. Okay, a picture is stillborn, dead, already dead before it has taken its first breath. It breathes not. The only person whom I loved and knew as one of the most beautiful people and who allowed me to take picture was my nanny. She allowed me, but with the condition that the album would be in her custody. I said, "There is no problem in that." "But why? Can't you trust me?" She said, "I can trust you, but I can't trust these photographs. It is not that you can do any harm to me, but I want the photographs to be in my care. When I'm dead, they will be yours." She allowed me to take as many photographs of her as I liked. But after she had died, when I opened her closet where she used to keep all the photographs, there was an empty album. She could not write, so she had told me father to write on it. Excuse me, she had signed it with her right thumbprint. The people I wanted you to become acquainted with, at least in their form, never allowed me to take their photographs. Only one allowed me to, but it seems my nanny only allowed me in order not to hurt me, and she always destroyed the pictures. The album was empty. I looked minutely, and it had never been used. I searched the whole house. There was not a single picture to be found. I would have loved to show you her eyes, just her eyes. Her whole body was beautiful, but her eyes. It needs a poet to say something about them. And I'm not the one. I can only say that they reflected something of the beyond. I think Master is still alive. In fact, I know he is. In the East, this has been one of the most ancient ways to disappear in the Himalayas before you die. To die in that beautiful part is richer than to live anywhere else. No one knows yet whether Lao Tzu died or not. Master took care of me more efficiently than Bhagar Baba could ever have done. First, Baba was really the madman. Secondly, he would come only once in a while, like a whirlwind to visit me, then disappear. This is not the way to take care. Once I even told him, saying, Baba, you talk so much about how you are taking care of this child, but before you say it again, I must be heard. He laughed and said, I understand you need not say it, but I will pass you on to the right hands. I am not really capable of taking care of you. Can you understand that I'm 90 years old? It is time for me to leave the body. I am hanging around just to find the right person for you. Once I have found him, I can relax into death. I never knew then that he was really serious, but that's what he did. He handed over his charge to Master and died laughing. That was the last thing he did. Zarathustra may have left when he was born. Nobody is a witness, but he must have left. His whole life indicated towards it. It was that laughter which caught the attention of one of the most intelligent men in the West, Friedrich Nietzsche. But Bhagal Baba really laughed at as he died, before we could ask why. We could not have asked the question anyway. He was not a philosopher, and he would not have answered even if he had lived. But what a way to die! And remember, it was not just a smile. Everybody there looked at each other thinking, what's the matter? Master proved himself more than Baba could ever have thought. He did so much for me that even to say it hurts. It is something so private that it should not be said. Master was the best choice that Baba could have made. I cannot in any way conceive of a better man. Not only was he a meditator, of course he was, otherwise there would have been no communion possible between him and me. And meditation simply means not being a mind, at least for the time you are meditating. But that was not all. He was many more things. He was a beautiful singer, but he never sang for the public. We both used to laugh at the phrase, the public. It consists of only the most retarded children. It is a wonder how they manage to gather at a place at a certain appointed time. I cannot explain it. Master said he could not explain it either. It just cannot be explained. He was also a talented guitar player, but again I have never seen him playing before a crowd. Often I was the only one present when he played, and he would tell me to lock the door, saying, "Please lock the door, and whatsoever happens, don't open it until I am dead." He said, and he knew what if I wanted to open the door, I would have to kill him first and then open it. I'd keep my promise, but his music was such. It was not known to the world. He said, "These things are so intimate that it is prostitution to play before a crowd." That was his exact word, prostitution. He was really a philosopher, a thinker. With Finger Baba, I had only one thing in common, that was the madness. Master had many things in common with him. Finger Baba was interested in many things. I could not be a representative of Finger Baba, but Master was. I cannot be anyone's representative, whosoever. Master did so much for me in every way that I could not believe how Baba had known that he would be the right person. And I was a child and needed much direction. And not an easy child either. Once I asked him, "Can I ever be allowed to bring someone?" He replied, "If you just want the joy of inviting someone intimate, then your nanny is allowed. For her, you need not even ask. Of course, if she does not want to come, then I cannot do anything about it." And that is what happened. When I told my nanny, she said, "Tell Master to come to my house and play his guitar here." And he was such a humble man, he came to play his guitar for the old woman. And he was so happy playing for her, and I was so happy that he had come and did not refuse. I had been worried that he might. And my grandma, the old woman, suddenly became as if she were young again. It was transfiguration. As she became more and more attuned to the guitar, she became younger and younger. I saw a miracle happen. By the time Master had finished playing his guitar, she was suddenly the old woman again. I said, "That is not right, Nanny. At least let poor Master have one glimpse of what his music can do for a person like you." She said, "This is not in my hands. If it happens, it happens. If it does not happen, nothing can be done about it. I know that Master will understand." But what I saw was just unbelievable. I blinked my eyes again and again just to see whether it was only a dream or I was really seeing her youth come back. Even today I cannot believe that it was just my imagination. Master remained unknown to the world at large for the simple reason that he never wanted to be among the crowd. And the moment his duty toward me, his promise to Bagal Baba, was finished, he disappeared in the Himalayas. I want to disappear there just as Master had. I can understand him, and it will not be a surprise if suddenly one day I disappear. The Himalayas are far bigger than India. Only part of the Himalayas belong to India. Another part belongs to Nepal, another to Burma, another to Pakistan. Thousands of miles of purity, just purity. On the other side, there is Russia, Tibet, Mongolia, China. They all have a part of Himalayas. It won't be a surprise if someday I disappear just to lie down by the side of the beautiful lake and be no longer in the body. One cannot find a better place to leave the body. But I may not do it. You know me. I will remain predictable as ever, even in my death. Master wanted to go sooner and was just fulfilling the last task given by his guru, Bagal Baba. He did so much for me, it is difficult to even list it. He introduced me to people so that whenever I might need money, I just had to tell them, and the money would arrive. He said, I have answered all their questions already, but they are cowardly people. They can give you their money, but they cannot give you their hearts. So don't ask that. I said, I never ask anybody for his or her heart. It cannot be asked. Either you simply find that it is gone or not. So I will not ask these people for anything except money, and that too only if it is needed. And he certainly introduced me to many people who have always remained anonymous. But whenever I needed money arrived. When I was at Jabalpur, where I was at the university and stayed more than 9 years, the money was continuously coming. People wondered because my salary was not very much. They could not believe how I could use such a beautiful car, a beautiful bungalow, a vast garden. And somebody asked, how such a beautiful car? That day 2 more arrived. There were 3 cars then and nowhere to keep them. The money was always coming. Master had made every arrangement. Although I don't have anything, no money at all, but somehow it manages itself. Master, it is difficult to say goodbye to you, for the simple reason that I don't believe you are no more. You still exist. I may not be able to see you again. That is not very important. I have seen you so much. Your very fragrance has become a part of me.